Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.
Azim, did you say I begged President Trump?
No, you met President.
Oh, thanks. I don't. I've never begged from anyone. So I have met and I apprised President Trump exactly of the situation, and I have told him, like I have told you, the gravity of the situation. This could go serious. Look, intelligent human beings start thinking ahead. I mean, you have to think of the hope for the best, but you should be prepared for the worst. The worst scenario in this is unthinkable. Normal human beings do not think of that. And so therefore, it is my job to tell them, in my opinion, things will deteriorate. We will keep them apprised. At least we have informed the world community what's going on. And as time goes on, and I fear that this is going to end up in a massacre, at least we will be able to tell the world community. And if India blames Pakistan for this, then at least the world would know about it. Previously, it was anything that happened in India. Look, what has been going on in the past? After 9/11, you use that magic word, Islamic terrorism, and all humanitarian rights were waved aside. You could do whatever you like with the people, provided you could term them as Islamic terrorists. And this is exactly what Narendra Modi is doing. This near genocide which he's about to commit, he's blaming it on Islamic terrorism, hoping that he'll get away with it. And that's why it's important for us to communicate with the Western world and civilized world and tell them what is happening. That's why we're telling them, send your own observers and find out what's happening. If India has nothing to worry about, and guess what the excuse of shutting down, putting people under curfew and shutting them in their houses for 50 days, the excuse is that this is to develop Kashmir. This is for prosperity of Kashmir. This is what the Narendra Modi position is. So it's important for us to tell the world, and I know now, I'm satisfied that at least everyone knows. I've apprised all the major world leaders of the situation in Kashmir.
The follow-up question is...
No, Azimia. No, there are other people who want to ask a question. Go ahead, Jazeb.
Thank you, Ambassador Malia. This is Jazeb Ali from Airline Institute, Pakistan. Prime Minister, like President Trump, Secretary General of United Nations also offered to mediate between India and Pakistan on Kashmir issue. On Kashmir issue. So, sir,
you still have to meet him.
Sir, will you comment on the role of United Nations? I mean, United Nations also failed to implement its own resolutions for the last many years. So, in your opinion, what's the reason for that?
Thank you, Jazeb.
Jazeb, inshallah, you will see that this issue is not now going to die down. You will see in time.
Don, Anwar Iqbal or Masood Haider, you decide amongst the two of you. Huh?
Sorry.
Jane.
I have a very brief, very simple question. You are here, met world leaders, you will be speaking in 2 days, and you will go back. What other options do you have now if the international community does not respond?
Look, Anwar, let's be straight about this. What options have we got apart from this? I mean, we can't attack India if, clearly that's not an option. Apart from that, we are doing everything possible. Apart from starting a war, we are doing everything possible we can. We are all the time exploring every possibility. We're making sure every world leader knows about the situation. I will be speaking on Friday as well, and I will try my best to make the world understand. And then media, I'm going to, you see, I believe that the media is very powerful. The Western media, I had meetings last night, and I realized that a lot of them already know what is going on. And so I know what happened in Bosnia. When the ethnic cleansing of Muslims started in Bosnia, for a while the world did nothing. But the media put such a pressure that eventually the world had to do something. And I believe that in Kashmir, it's exactly the same thing will happen. Even though countries are worried about their economic interests and markets, I believe that this is a much bigger issue than markets and economic interest, and eventually the world will be interested.
Let's take Hassan from the Daily Times.
Mr. Prime Minister, in the past we have seen we had General Musharraf 4-point formula and we also had a Chenab formula. What proposal would you suggest to resolve Kashmir if you were able to talk to India in the near future?
For a start, they have to lift the curfew. That's a beginning. I mean, you know, this inhuman curfew of 50 days. Even the Congress party in India has commented that poor people have been shut inside for 50 days. 50 days they've, no one knows what's happening with all the prisoners, political prisoners, thousands of them.
Thank you very much.
In that formula, there was a problem. And the problem was the third party, the most affected party, the Kashmiris, were not in the loop.
We have one last question. Go ahead.
Muhammad Ikram, Voice of America, DUA service, we broadcast to Pashto region, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Did Trump ask you to play some role or active role in Afghanistan? And did he told you something about to put some pressure on Taliban? And whatever you told me?
I'll repeat what I said. We were very surprised because the deal was about to be signed when from a tweet we found out that the deal had been broken. So what we hope is that, and what we will try and do is to actually get back that deal to be signed. And then Pakistan will do its best to get the Taliban to talk to the Afghan government.
If you did everything with expectation of us.
We're done. We're done.
Prime Minister, as we know that there is no word of disappointment in your dictionary. Really appreciate as you have conveyed Pakistan's narrative loud and clearly across the world. During these days, you have met with different head of states, including Donald Trump. Now, in your opinion, what they are thinking and how much they are convinced? If no mediation, then what next?
Look, the disappointment is not because I think that people of Kashmir, I feel that what Narendra Modi has done, he has boxed himself into a blind alley. There is nowhere for him to go from now onwards except a general massacre of people of Kashmir when the curfew is lifted. There's no other way for him to go. So I feel that from now onwards, and I know that the people of Kashmir for 30 years have been fighting for their independence, and 100,000 have lost their lives. They have lost fear of death. When a population, and you're talking about not few thousands, 8 million people, when they lose fear of dying, and freedom becomes much more important than living a life of slavery, I don't think that he will be able to stop this now. I think the momentum will gain pace. So I'm not disappointed about where it is headed because I know that this will eventually now end up in freedom for people of Kashmir. What I'm disappointed is that for some reason countries put their economic interests ahead of human beings. This is the same with climate change. Countries, because of not wanting to lose their growth rate, do not realize that what impending disaster this climate change is bringing to the world. Neither do countries, for instance, which I'll be speaking about, this money laundering which comes from the developing world into the rich countries every year. Billions and billions of dollars from poor countries moves to rich countries through corruption, ruling elites of developing world, taking the money out, and unfortunately, because if anything, the richer countries gain from it, they do not take any steps to stop it. This is a plunder of the poor countries. The poor countries are getting poorer, the rich are getting richer. And these criminals who plunder the poor countries have an easy way of parking their money, buying flats in New York and London. And that's what we want. We want the world to take notice of this. The richer countries, they should have strong money laundering laws. They should, if we can identify that money has been stolen from our countries, it should be immediately given back to us.
But no recovery so far.
But this is the problem, because the laws are so complicated, and if the rich countries want, they can easily tighten the laws so that it will be the biggest deterrent for these criminals in third world to take the money out.
Thank you. Thank you very much.